Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome back to round 8 of our F124 Let's Make Lando Norris World Champion series. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the penultimate round of 2024. We return to Losail and the Qatar Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live last week from Las Vegas, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. Of course, Max Verstappen has wrapped up the World Championship in 2024 IRL, but inside this series, things are hopefully going to go down to the wire. The Dutchman has a 25-point lead over us as we head into Qatar. He's on 425 points. We are on a nice round 400. So, yeah, we're kind of hoping we can just continue chipping away at his lead, make sure that we head to Abu Dhabi next week, obviously still with a shot at the crown as well. Of course, if you're new around here, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed to the channel as well. We're trying to get as close as we can to 140,000 subs by the end of the year. But of course, yeah, the real life 2024 season kind of was, it was, getting really, really exciting. And then it's kind of fallen off a cliff very quickly. I think Verstappen's win, fair play to him, that win in Brazil, was absolutely massive in sealing the deal for the Dutchman. But yeah, inside this series, I'm hoping we can try and drag the fight out right to the very end. So maybe this series is more entertaining than IRL Formula 1 as well. Of course, this weekend is, of course, the last sprint of the year as well. So we've got 2 races to get through. So there'll be no qualifying in this video, just to save it from being 45 minutes long. So I guess let's head down then onto the grid, ready for the sprint.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. Losail International was built in 2004, 3.3 miles, 16 turns with just 1 DRS zone, but it's a long straight and there's plenty of high-speed overtaking opportunities through the corners. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Perez, Hamilton, Russell, Sainz, Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Gasly, Tsunoda, Albon, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Joe, and Logan Sargent. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out.
Well, here we are then on the grid, and we took pole position by just under a tenth ahead of Lando Norris. I enjoy qualifying around Qatar inside this game. It seems to suit us pretty nicely as well. There's 7 laps, though, ready for the sprint. We've got Oscar Piastri, of course, last year's sprint winner, lining up right behind me. So hopefully he's going to be of some use as well as we head into this race. As we wait them on the grid for those 5 red lights here in Qatar, it is going to be lights out, and away we go. There are way too many revs off the line there. Charles Leclerc immediately is going to rocket through as well. So both McLarens not getting off to a particularly good getaway in towards turn 1. Can we try and hook it up a long way around? The Monegasque driver there wheel banging through that first corner, but Verstappen then immediately will take the lead of the GP there. Succeed trying to put some temperature in those rear tyres, and apparently the only way I know how, sliding our way up through turn 3 there. Luckily able to save the car on the exit. But yeah, I mean, ideally I want to try and obviously win the sprint race today. That'll carve the gap down to just 24 points to Verstappen. But he knows he basically just needs podiums in these last couple of Grand Prix, and he will be world champion as well there. So we still need Verstappen to have a little bit of an upset between now and the end of the year. Maybe we'll have to do a Hamilton-Rosberg from 2016 out in Abu Dhabi next weekend. But of course, a lot can change between now and then. We could end up with a mechanical failure at some point. I don't know whether you can get them in Grand Prix mode. I know the AI can, but I don't know whether the human player can or cannot still. Where, generally I don't do that much in Grand Prix mode inside this game there. But as we make our way through the final couple of corners, of course, Vegas last weekend was a really good opportunity for us to maximise the result over Verstappen as well. He kind of got caught up in some of the slower cars, a bit like we saw in real life last weekend. Of course, Verstappen was just doing, what he needed to get that world title locked up out in America as well. But yeah, obviously he can just come to these last couple of races and go out there and enjoy himself. But for us, on the other hand, yeah, and especially in this series, you know, Verstappen doesn't get that luxury. We don't get that luxury. But we do need to try and get ahead of him. Well, already looks like we're just starting to pull away from Oscar Piastri a little bit. Now, obviously, the sprint, there'd only be a 1-point swing between myself and the Dutchman. You know, we don't have to worry about fastest lap bonus points and things like that. But if we could try and drag him back in towards some of the other cars as well there, as you can see Verstappen trying to go defensive in towards someone. We'll try and go the long way around him. Not quite happening there. He will kind of trip himself over though on the exit slightly, so I mean we're practically under his diffuser through turn 2 and up in towards turn 3. Can we try and get a run up this little short shoot there? He's again going to have to go defensive as he'll throw the car a bit too late in. We'll get to the inside line though. Got to make sure that we give each other room. I'm sure the FIA will be telling both of us just to be careful and sensible in these last couple of races. I mean, look at that. He wanted to try and squeeze us off. As Oscar Piastri now waiting right in the wings as well, so he'll know the assignment in these last couple of GP of the year are still side by side through the entirety of the middle sector, it feels like at the moment. Can we try and go the long way around? Again, we get a little bit of a wobble as we try and put the power down there, and that's actually going to invite Oscar Piastri as well to have a bit of a look there as well. Verstappen just want to try and squeeze us out and to just trim the first apex just a little bit, but that might leave him vulnerable back down in towards turn 1 there. It's just everybody trying to throw the cars through the final couple of turns. Of course, this track on paper should really suit McLaren this weekend. That's going to be my guess, that it will suit McLaren as well. There is, again, Verstappen just to try and go a little bit defensive. Oscar Piastri, is he going to close in enough as we will try and get just in front of the Dutchman into the braking zone? I think he saw our game, though, and will defend from our teammate. Well, here we go then, just 3 laps to go already. These 35% sprint races really do not feel that long at all there, as Verstappen and Oscar Piastri are going to try and move their way through. Could our teammate try and get to the lead of this Grand Prix? Well, through turn 1 there, is suddenly met with a wash of understeer. And again, Verstappen will hang on to the lead, but Oscar, he cannot afford to drop back behind him at the moment. I'm happy to let our teammate attack, and we'll just try and save the tyres a little bit. Come on then, Oscar. This is your chance. You haven't been that useful in this series up to this point. He's actually been quite kind of distant throughout most of the races this campaign, but finally now, whenever you come to the Qatar sprint, Oscar Piastri is going to come alive there to the inside of Verstappen, back down in towards turn 1. And Oscar Piastri says, thank you very much. And we'll move into the lead of this sprint race there. Can we try and force the Dutchman behind both McLaren cars as we make our way up in towards turn 4 there? Look at the run we've got on the exit of the corner. Just trying to use a little bit of battery there, and we'll have to be a bit more robust with the move, which we will do. And up then into P2, and now McLaren, a bit like we saw in the Brazil sprint IRL a few weeks ago, if you guys remember. We're going to have to try and choreograph this at some point. This has worked out a whole lot better than I thought it would in the sprint. I really did think after the opening couple of laps that Verstappen and I were just going to pull away from the rest of your running order there, but trying to use the last of our battery back in towards turn 1 there. Right on the outside of Oscar Piastri will go, and luckily Verstappen nowhere near him in towards that first corner. In fact, he's under more pressure from Charles Leclerc, who's championship admittedly in this series has kind of completely fallen off the rails, to be honest. Just very, very rarely has been able to kind of battle with Verstappen and I. But as we make our way onto the final lap, though, a 2-point swing, that could be very useful come the end of the year. And making our way then up in towards the final sector. Oscar Piastri, admittedly, he has helped us out in this sprint race, but that's exactly what McLaren needed to be doing, just a little bit more throughout the entirety of the campaign. I think, admittedly, it was still always going to be Verstappen's title anyway. But yeah, they certainly could have done themselves a few more favours. Tried to put a bit more pressure on the Dutchman towards the end of the year. But through the final corner, it's only Saturday's sprint. It is P1 though. That's a fantastic way to start the weekend. Well, there we go then, taking a look at our sprint results. They're 10 minutes and 12 thousandths of a second it took us, so a little bit slower than the game was originally anticipating there, but it's a McLaren 1-2, so very, very happy with that one there. Verstappen comes through for third ahead of Charles Leclerc. both Mercedes, Sainz and Lance Stroll. That means, though, obviously in the championship, we've taken another 2 points out of Max, so he now needs to finish P3 in both the, obviously, Qatar Grand Prix and Abu Dhabi next weekend, and he will be world champion, irrespective of what we do. We just got to try and go out there and score maximum points as we head into the race, and hope that Verstappen struggles somewhere.
Welcome back to Qatar. We had a year off due to a small footballing tournament in 2022, but it's back to Formula One right now. .3 miles, 16 turns with a single DRS zone at the exit of turn 16. It is a fast and flowing track with plenty of overtaking expected through the DRS zone down into turn 1. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he will start from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who will start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Sainz, Russell, Hamilton, Stroll, Gasly, Albon, Tsunoda, Ocon, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Bottas, Hülkenberg, Sargent, and Zhou Guanyu. That's it then. It's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Well, we did take pole a little bit more comfortably then as we head into the real GP. Quarter of a second there, just reminding Verstappen about our pace behind the wheel. But in terms of strategy, though, I don't think the softer compounded tyre is going to be the way to go this afternoon. I think that we're actually going to be a little bit risk off and try to go mediums over to the hards. It might stop us from getting fastest lap, which could be an issue come the end of the afternoon. But yeah, I just think it's going to be a much safer way of doing things. And I reckon if we sacrifice 1 point there for 7 points in the bigger picture, probably worth it in that title fight as well. We might see some mix-up strategy behind it. Looks like we are. Everybody else is on the soft compounded tyre there. It's 5 red lights here on the grid. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go then. Much less wheel spin than we got last time around. But again, Verstappen will immediately try and get the move done down in towards turn 1, as we will really try and fling it that time round. Around the outside through that first corner. Alonso trying to get himself involved in the fight at the front as well. As apparently that's just my line through turn 2 on that one there. Another huge snap of oversteer that time round. Yeah, that one I think we were a little bit more lucky that we were able to save the car in the end. But yeah, that was a little bit on the scary side on that one, especially, like we said, when a World Championship is on the line there. But yeah, Verstappen, though, he knows he's got to try and run away on that one on those softer compounded tyres. But they will only last like 7 laps here, if I'm not mistaken. So no one wanted to use them in the sprint. So it's a little bit peculiar that everyone has shifted over to them ready for the main event. I'd rather save a set of softs, and if we get a safety car late on in the race or something like that, then make the transfer over. But for Verstappen, he knows he's got a good opportunity to try and break the 1 second zone in these opening couple of laps. But as always, through the high-speed corners, this McLaren is rapid. Well, looks like we've both dropped the rest of the running order then, but already just seeing Verstappen start to struggle on those softer compounded tyre. We're not going to try and use too much battery, but we are going to look for a move back down in towards turn 1 there, as Piastri moving up into P3. And look at that, yeah, Verstappen, he's got less fight on those softs than he did on the mediums, so now he wasn't able to break away on that one. This might really fall into our kind of hands here. Let's just see what our pace is like. I must admit, I was not expecting this, I was expecting a shift, but not this early. But it's usually something I see more from Fernando Alonso inside this game, but whenever he gets to the front of a field, in a Formula 1 Grand Prix, he absolutely cooks his tyres trying to push too early and then really starts to struggle. Weirdly, apart from this year as an F1 24, we don't see Verstappen leading that many races anymore, just the way kind of all of our career modes have gone and things like that. The Dutchman at Red Bull have absolutely fallen apart, so, I mean, at the moment he's just sat in P2, but Oscar Piastri, Alonso, Charles Leclerc, they have all bunched back up. But if there's a chance to feed Verstappen to the wolves, then we're absolutely going to take it here. Oscar Piastri again starting to apply a bit more pressure to him, and are we going to see Oscar get a run in towards turn 1 there. I think Max did just still have the DRS, but it's not going to matter. Oscar Piastri there, slipstream, maybe slightly less wing as well, and he moves up then back into P2 once more. That's really good for us, but we would need Verstappen to lose another spot. It's almost been impressive just how quickly those soft compound tyres have fallen off for the AI in the early laps, but I am still very, very worried about the undercut. I think the medium is probably going to be the best tyre this afternoon. And obviously, if the AI are all going to start boxing pretty quickly, I'm sure Oscar, again, will get the run on Max down in towards turn 1, which he will do. Yeah, they might obviously be able to undercut us whilst we're still out here, and then they'll have better tyres to the end of the afternoon. I know it seems odd, but it might genuinely be better for us to stay out on the mediums and then go to the softs at the end, just so we've got an advantage over the AI, because I'm worried, obviously, if we lose a spot to, you know, say Oscar, Max and Fernando, then I'm not going to be able to get back past them anyway. Well, there we go. None of our top 3, or top 4 even, I should say, pitting. It is Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez and a group of cars a bit further back that are first in. George Russell's gone the same way as me on strategy, so nice to know that we aren't completely alone on this set of tyres there as well. Oscar Piastri, Verstappen getting the elbows out through the first couple of corners. That might invite Alonso into that battle a bit more as well. I think Verstappen, has he done it? No, Oscar Piastri is still keeping the nose there. Great racing going on behind us, but I think Verstappen has hung on, hasn't hung on. I've got no idea what's going on a bit further back. Either way, they're costing each other more time. Piastri still hasn't hung on, but they've lost over a second in that first sector alone. Well, there we go. Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri even, and Fernando Alonso all into the pits. Well, they could really get undercut here by Charles Leclerc. He was a couple of seconds back before he dived into the pit lane last lap. Maybe he'll drag Perez and Hamilton along with him throughout this outing there. I mean, look at that Sauber up into 4th and 5th just by staying out that little bit longer. Will Leclerc, though, be able to get ahead of Verstappen? He's going to be close on pit lane exit. I think Leclerc's going to do it. Maybe only just, but yeah, look at that Leclerc in front then. And Perez as well is going to be battling with his teammate down at turn 1. So that works out really nicely. Well, looking on the relative then, first of all, Valtteri Bottas in the podium places. Get that screenshot. See, Sauber did really well here last year. It's probably their best shot at trying to score a point all campaign there. But, yeah, I mean, Bottas, yeah, up in P3. The gap to Verstappen, just under 30 seconds. As long as it's above about 24, 25... by the time I pit, I'm not going to worry too much. The pit lane here is deceptively long, though. It does cost you a fair amount of time. But yeah, Carlos Sainz as well, trying to extend this stint as far as he possibly can. But I just obviously want to make sure that we lock down that fastest lap bonus point. But yeah, Verstappen is flying, and he's dragging the likes of Leclerc and George Russell along with him. Verstappen, seriously? Verstappen, he's just snookered our fastest lap away by 1/1000th of a second. So it's a good job that I am trying to go with the alternate strat. Imagine if the world title came down to that 1 point in it from here in Qatar and it was decided by fastest lap and 1,000th of a second in it. That would be utterly insane. Happy that fastest lap bonus points are being scrapped next year, but that would be hilarious. Well, that could have been the perfect time for a safety car for us. Alex Albon, unfortunately, retiring from this afternoon's GP. So yeah, definitely, of course, AI still suffering with reliability issues here. It feels like more often than not, Alex Albon retires from a Qatar Grand Prix inside this game. Very, very weird. Of course, poor Alex Albon as well retired from the IRL Las Vegas Grand Prix last weekend. But more importantly for us, Verstappen now, though, has opened up the DRS range ahead of Charles Leclerc. That Ferrari is just not really working around this venue, so we are going to take the opportunity to peel into the pits at the end of lap 13, just as the tyre wear warning light flashes up as well. And into the pits we'll go. Make sure I don't get done for speeding. Don't want to take any unnecessary risks on that pit lane entry. But yeah, looks like Verstappen then, unless we battle, of course, worst case scenario is that he finishes in P2. Oh, come on, team, we need a good stop. That was okay.
Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that.
I'm looking on the mini-map, though. I think we're going to actually lose out quite badly here and end up maybe down behind this train of cars. That would not be ideal for us as we get towards the end of the pit lane. Come on, go, 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 go. We will just about get out in front. And actually, we could serve quite well here. If we can keep Hamilton in our range this lap, maybe we could drag all of them back to max. I'm also going to try and be really gentle on these tyres, trying to get them through the warm-up, and then we'll go for the fastest lap push. Well, yeah, it is just that front left that really takes a beating around this venue, but as we round our way out the final corner, we have got a full charge of battery. So let's try and go for a run then on Verstappen here and use this to try and claim fast lap of the Grand Prix. The Dutchman, of course, will always try and defend it, but with 5 laps to go then here in Qatar, I mean, hopefully this is going to be a fairly simple fastest lap attempt, as long as I don't do anything stupid there. Throw the car nicely through turn 1 and turn 2. Just try and use all of, but don't run wide over the curbing on the exit. I have got to try and keep it between the white lines as well there, up through the top of the hill. Nice and tidy down into 5th gear there through this double right-hander. Maybe a slight trim of the apex through the second part, but purple through sector 1. And already you can see the advantage we've got. We've opened up that gap over Verstappen to over 1 second. But I don't think he's going to be vulnerable from the cars behind as we round our way in through sector 2. This corner I really do love. You throw it from left to right and back over to the left into the apex there. Now you've got to try and use a little bit of VRS. It is slightly uphill here in towards the final sector, but again, we go purple. Flat through the first part, flat through the second part, flat through the third part. Will the fourth part be flat? I think you've got a downshift though. Oh, on the way in there, slight blend of throttle through the penultimate corner, and 1 more turn to go then. I've taken a fair bit out of the tyre to try and go for this, but as we make our way out the final turn, surely we are going to obliterate that fastest lap. A 23.8. Yes, we will. Now we've got a 2.3 second buffer over Verstappen, but he's got 2.2 over everybody else. So I think we are going to come through in 1-2 formation. Well, you best believe when we get to Abu Dhabi next weekend, we are going to be trying to do everything we possibly can to make sure that we outscore Verstappen by enough points for the World Championship. But here this weekend in Qatar, 2 pole positions. It is going to be the maximum points haul from the weekend as well, as long as I don't do anything stupid on this final lap. Again, another sprint weekend which we have absolutely controlled, but Verstappen, he's just still doing enough. Every single GP weekend, he just is getting enough out of it. Those critical, well, that critical win even, I should say, back in Mexico, I think could be the difference maker come the end of the year when the AI completely mugged me when it came to the tyre strategy, moving from the full wets to the dry compound tyre. It's the only time I've ever seen them do it inside F1 24, and it could have been a championship-defining moment inside this series. But as we round the final few corners here in Qatar, once again, McLaren have come here to Losail. We knew it would be the car to have this weekend, and we've just tried to do everything we possibly can to maximise our own points there. 1 more corner to go. Lando Norris, it is going to be back on the top step of the podium once again. 3 wins in a row. We'll absolutely love to see it.
Let's go! Yeah, baby!
Out of the last corner for the last time, Lando Norris is victorious.
With 5 race victories now, is for the others now really to try and stop that momentum that they've got on their side, because before too long, they're going to be looking at the championship. It's theirs, it's within grasp right now, of course.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be McLaren picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance.
Well, there we go. The maximum 34 points available to us have been claimed this weekend by Lando Norris and McLaren there. And that's certainly going to mean the championship is for the second time, well, sorry, for the first time since 2021, I should say, is going to go to the finale in Abu Dhabi there. In terms of the points, Verstappen now is up to 449. If I'm not mistaken, we will be on 434, so 15 points in it. Verstappen just needs to finish 4th or better in the season finale, and he will walk away with his 4th Formula 1 World Championship there. Hamilton, though, easily driver of the day from 9th up to P3 in the end. So just like we saw in Vegas, Hamilton rough on qualifying, but really good race pace in his final few races for Mercedes as well there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the finale in Abu Dhabi.